Hi everybody, it's Monday. Let me see now, what was I going to tell you? Oh yes, the barbecue. I wanted to finish the barbecue story and show you my hairs. I've just done them. I think actually they're better, don't you think? I have this thing, because I read somewhere, and I can't remember exactly where I read it, but I have this thing in my mind that as women start to mature, you should start to lighten your hair. Because you don't want to be the very mature woman in the corner of the room with black hairs, when really the hairs on your head should be sort of lighter, you know? Like maybe this color? Anyway, I'm back to this and I don't think it washes me out so much, and I'm feeling a little bit better about it. So the barbecue. When we were in the store ordering our barbecue, which is going to be delivered this Wednesday, not Tuesday, but Wednesday, we were dealing with one young man who was quite nice and seemed to be knowledgeable and whatnot, and asked us what our barbecue needs were, and didn't want to oversell us, blah, 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 so it was very good. And as we were giving information about, you know, where we are and how it needed to be delivered, Pat said to the guy, the last time we bought from you, which was just 5 years ago, the hose for the natural gas wasn't long enough, and you had to keep the hose that was on the old barbecue and switch it around. And as he was saying that, another young man was just had arrived in the area where we were and was working on a computer, and he said, big loud voice, well, we can't do that anymore. And I look up, you know, and he sort of makes eye contact with me, and I didn't say anything, and Pat says, why not? And the guy says, well, legislation has changed, the rules have changed, code has changed, and you can't have a hose that goes under a deck to where a barbecue is. Well, our deck isn't enclosed, it's open, like you couldn't stand under it, it's only like maybe 2 feet off the ground, and the hose where it connects to the gas line is in the middle of the deck underneath the deck. So you'd have to cut a hole in the deck, bring the hose up and run it to where we have the barbecue on the deck, which would go right across the entranceway into the patio deck. So the big old barbecue gas line hose would be right across the entranceway to the deck, running along the top side of the deck. And I looked at him and I said, that's absolutely ludicrous. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. And he looks at me and he says, it's code, lady, it's code. And I thought to myself, well, I'm not going to say what I thought, but my thoughts weren't polite. I was kind of pissed. And you could see that the guy that we were dealing with knew that. And I just turned my back on this other guy. I guess he sort of, from my body language, understood what I was thinking, because I thought he couldn't even visualize, I'm sure. Nobody would do that. Have a hose go across the doorway entranceway. So Pat says to him, you know, and I'm ready to shoot daggers. Pat says to him, well, we'd have to put the barbecue right in front of our picture window that looks out onto the backyard. And the guy says, well, do whatever you have to, but the hose can't go under the deck. I'm trying to decide if it's going to be wise for me to be here on Wednesday when they arrive to install our new barbecue. I don't know yet. but I wasn't happy. Anyway, this one guy who had said all of what he said about code, etc., disappears, and the first guy says to us, "We'll work it out, I'm sure." He said that he's a licensed whatever gas line fitter person himself, and he didn't know anything about that change in the code. And I spent all weekend trying to find it. I have a call into somebody asking them all the ridiculous things. It would be a complete slip, trip, fall hazard. This stupid hose lying across. There's 2 steps up, or from our back patio door here, you just walk across it. And there's 2 steps from the garden, 2 steps up, and you'd have to cross over this stupid hose. All winter? If I'm wrong, and anybody out there knows about Ontario or Canadian gas line barbecue, natural gas line barbecue hoses, let me know. Pat and I are rewatching the first season of Justified. And you know, nobody's talking about Justified. I don't know if you guys watched Justified. I've talked about it before, and I really, really have enjoyed it because the dialogue is very clever, and mostly because of the love-hate relationship between Boyd and Raylan. They command the screen when they're on it, and I think it's a very clever series. So anyway, we spent the past couple of weeks watching all of the first season all over again, and I'd encourage you to watch it. It's, you know, a little bit of shoot 'em up cowboys. Well, it's not cowboys. It's takes place in Kentucky, outside of Lexington, in the hollers, and I just love it. The accents make me think of Melissa every time. Melissa and James. Okay. Yep, I don't think I have anything else. So that's it. That's all.